Hey everybody, Joe here for the Awesome News Podcast and the Awesome News Network. We're going to talk to you for a little bit about Batman v Superman. Here is my spoiler-filled review of Dawn of Justice. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, of course you've seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, are you a comic book fan? Do you like awesome things? Go see the movie. Go now. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs for a little bit, let y'all go see the movie. Come on back, push play, and we'll go from there. Alright? So, go. You back? Okay, awesome. Let's talk about Batman v Superman. I loved this movie. My review is going to be the complete opposite of pretty much everything y'all have seen out there. I am not a hater of BVS. Not even remotely. I love this film. Let me go ahead and start off right now. I'm going to give it a score of 8 out of 10, which is really high. As far as I can tell, that's a really good score. I love this movie, and I love everything about this movie. There were a few problems, some pacing issues or stuff like that, so I do feel the film is going to benefit greatly for the director's cut that we're going to get with the Blu-ray at the end of June. So, we have that to look forward to. Let me talk about everything that I love first about this movie. First, Ben Affleck's Batman is fan-damn-tastic. It is visceral and raw, and he fights like he's right out of the comic books. Ben Affleck nailed it. Ben Affleck is the first actor since Michael Keaton to nail both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Christian Bale. His Batman left a lot to be desired, but his Bruce Wayne was really good. George Clooney. His Batman sucked, but Bruce Wayne was good. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's Batman was a badass. His Bruce Wayne was horrible. And Michael Keaton nailed both. Well, Ben Affleck has nailed both. This is a very troubled Batman that we meet in this movie. He's already gone through the events of what we can imagine as Death in the Family, because we do see the Robin outfit there, the Jason Todd outfit, the ha-ha-ha, joke's on you, Batman. We do see that. He does make that reference to Clark Kent at the first ball, the kind of party, the gala that Lex Luthor puts on at his house, and he says, we have maybe it's the Gotham, maybe we have a bad history of freaks dressed as clowns. So we know he's got a raw history. We know that Joker is in his past. He's lost a Robin at some point. He is broken, and so this Batman, his give a damn is busted. If you fire firearms at him and you're trying to kill him, well, he doesn't care if you live or die anymore. And it's going to be really interesting to see if this is a shift from where he was before as a character to where he is now. And Alfred actually alludes to this, where he says that he's paraphrasing, that he's become more of a monster, that he's becoming more and more like the people he's trying to stop in his quest for vengeance. And Ben Affleck's portrayal of this is great. Great. Best Batman, period. The warehouse fight scene when he's busting up through the floor and hitting guns with technology and taking all the guns out, and hitting this dude with a grappling hook over here and flinging his ass across the room over there. Great fight scene. We see Batman as the martial artist that he is. And that's something the previous Batman films haven't really touched on. They've shown him as a fighter, but they've never really got in there and shown that deep, gritty martial arts master that he is. And this one does. It is right out of the comic books. It is fantastic. Speaking of right out of the comic books, that is another thing that I really love about this movie, is the homage to the great comic books in the DC lore. All right, so we get the homage to Death in the Family. Is there an Under the Red Hood on the way? And most of this movie is The Dark Knight Returns. There's some adaptation a little bit away from the story, but if you look at the imagery, even Batman's armor is right out of The Dark Knight Returns. There's a scene when Superman and Doomsday are beating each other up, and they're in orbit around Earth, and they're just beating the hell out of each other, and Earth sends nuclear weapons to hit them, not caring if they kill both Superman and Doomsday. Two birds with one stone from the government's perspective. And the nuclear hits, and they think, and Doomsday falls down, but there's this image of Superman hanging in space. And that imagery literally is pulled right out of the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns comic book, and it shows a withered up and broken Superman in orbit, and then the sun hits him and he starts regenerating, coming back to strength, and then it's let's open up a can of whip ass time. Great stuff. I loved how we simultaneously, the movie's 2 hours and 41 minutes long is the official runtime of the movie. It doesn't feel that at all. It is very fast paced, very quick. I didn't look at my watch a single time in that 2 hours and 41 minutes. It was fantastic, wonderfully paced. You could tell that there were some things cut out of the cutting room floor to keep it from being a 3-hour film, but I think we're going to get that Lord of the Rings extended cut, so that's all good. I loved how this movie was simultaneously a Batman film and a Superman film. That both characters had their own motivations and their own goals, and they didn't realize that they were getting scrogged by Lex Luthor the entire time until it became really important for the story. And then once that happened, you know what? Team up together, and we've got one of the greatest cinematic experiences for me ever is seeing the birth of the Justice League in film. To see Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman fighting side by side, working as a unit, and it was great. So super great. You know, I love how they folded in the death of Superman into all this too, which is one of the most seminal comic books of my childhood. It was like 1993, I believe that was. I mean, everybody had to have a copy of Death of Superman. It was a big damn deal. So it was great kind of seeing that in film. And those that know me and have listened to the Windowless Van podcast and seen the stuff on A&N and talked to my compatriots Pat and James and Kevin and all those guys, they know that I called that shit about 6 months ago. I am an entertainment prophet. I know these things because that's how I would write it. Lex Luthor in this film is great. Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor is unlike any other Lex Luthor we've ever had. It's definitely the best since Gene Hackman. It's a great version of the character. It's unlike anything we've seen in the comic books. Definitely unlike anything we've seen in the films. A lot of people say that they don't really buy his motivation. I can see where it might be a little amorphous, but for me, it really the story of his father waving the flowers to tyrants, and he's viewing that Superman could very easily become that tyrant. I bought that motivation. That was enough for me to see him kind of step things up, and I kind of felt that in the midst of that simple story of breaking down the Superman, that he goes into that Kryptonian ship, power goes to his head, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to create something big that I know that if Batman won't take out Superman, this beast will. And we get the creation of Doomsday. And it's created in a very, very similar way to the comic books, that mixture of Kryptonian DNA and human DNA to create Doomsday. The fight between Doomsday and everybody was great. The fight between Batman and Superman was fantastic. It took a lot of balls for Zack Snyder to actually have Batman win that fight. Batman was going to kill Clark Kent. He was going to kill Superman right then and there. But the Lois Lane came in, the discussion about Martha and his parents and Batman's kind of realization that yes, he's an alien, but he's a man. He isn't for these, apocalyptic views that he believed, that he feared before after seeing the destruction of Metropolis, and Wayne Financial and losing so many people of his. When he realizes that Superman's name is Martha too, and it really resonates him with a lot of people hate on that. I'm cool with it. That was cool to me. Remember, Batman's conflicted. Batman is as crazy as Joker, just manifested in a completely opposite way. Where Joker's crazy manifested in chaos, Batman's crazy manifested in this sense of justice. So them finding common ground on his name, on their mother being named Martha, I'm cool with that. I buy it. But I do understand if people have problems with that. Sometimes I feel like maybe I was so caught up in the movie that the problems didn't matter to me, and they still don't matter to me. They do exist. They exist in all films, and they're mostly just pacing issues. And I think like I said before, the extended cut we're getting in the end of June is going to fix those pacing issues, and maybe flesh out a little bit more of Lex Luthor's motivation, a little bit more Superman's motivation for taking out Batman. Let's see. Let's talk about the Justice League cameos. Some have called it a little ham-fisted. Maybe it was a little bit. Maybe it could have been done a little bit more organically into the story. But I do like the idea that Lex Luthor has already been gathering information on metahumans from around the world. And then the big ones that we know of, we're going to have, we think of Flash, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman. And we get these little videos of each. We get Ezra Miller's Flash inside the convenience store getting the robber. We see Aquaman stabbing the submarine drone and bolting out. We see that picture of Wonder Woman from 1918. And then we see the creation of Cyborg using this weird cubic nth metal something or other. We're not sure. I'm not sure what that is. Please let me know in the comments. I loved it. Another thing about the Flash, we're getting bits of the Flash movie in this one too. He comes in and you get that little vision that Batman was having with the dark side, with the Omega burned into the field and the flyer pillars like it's Apocalypse, and of course the parademons. The bell has been rung, he's coming. So we are getting Darkseid in the future. But there's a hint that in Flash movie we're going to get a little Flash pointing. Because Flash likes to muck around with time, and he's not very good at it. So we get that scene of Flash kind of poking into Batman's consciousness, going, Lois Lane is the key, and Batman's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, oh no, I'm too early. Too early for what? What's going on? What is Lois Lane the key for? Why is Flash already running through time? So those are really interesting points, but are really not for Dawn of Justice. They're actually for the Flash movie, maybe a little Justice League. Like I said, the movie's dense as hell. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to have to see it a couple more times to kind of wrap my head around it and really kind of parse things out and figure out where things are going to fit in this Justice League universe. But a few things are certain. Flash getting Flash pointy. The bell has been rung. Darkseid is coming. So they're right off the bat, we're getting Darkseid, which is great. So in the Justice League movie, we're getting the return and rebirth of Superman, and we're probably getting Darkseid. Yay! That's awesome to me. Now, I remember a lot of people didn't have the same reaction to the film that I did. I didn't find any problems with it. Glaring problems that took me out of the movie like so many other critics did. And I do feel like many of the pacing problems that people have cited will be rectified coming up soon in the end of June. But all in all, like I said, I got to give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, but damn, is it a good one, man. It's great. We're seeing Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, and we're seeing the Justice League. Because let's be honest, if you put the Avengers on this side and the Justice League on this side, the Justice League is going to beat the shit out of the Avengers every single time. Yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. So that's my review of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Let me know what you think about it. Maybe things are a little bit different for you. Just let me know, alright? This is Joe, the Awesome News Podcast, signing off.